Sonic Adventure 2 is a pretty controversial game. Oftentimes I see that game get called out for various things like the gameplay or level design. Personally, I love this game. Maybe not as much as I love Sonic Adventure, but Sonic Adventure 2 is definitely in my top 5 favorites. This game, like I said earlier, gets discredited on many of its fronts. However, the story is one thing I constantly see being praised. Seeing things like Sonic having a semi-doubleganger, Sonic going to prison, and all in all playing as the bad guys and seeing how certain pieces fall from behind the scenes makes the game all the more interesting to me. However, one thing I find particularly interesting about this game is the story of Shadow the Hedgehog, one of the oldest characters in the main canon. His backstory not only plays a huge role on who he is, but also the entirety of the game. Now in this game, Sonic Adventure 2, we don't have a lot of history to go off of when it comes to Shadow's backstory, outside the fact that this girl he really cared about, Maria, was killed on a giant spaceship 50 years ago. However, we learn that Maria did not ask for much. She was a girl who wanted nothing more than to see the Earth and to help people whenever she could. However, due to her fatal illness, she was unable to experience the world. We get more of the specifics of Maria's illness in the game Shadow the Hedgehog. We learn that the disease she has is known as NIDS, or in other words, Neuroimmune Deficiency Syndrome. This disease made her weak and frail, so she constantly needed to be watched over to make sure she was kept well. Maria came from a long line of successful scientists, most notably being Professor Gerald Robotnik. This is also Dr. Eggman's grandfather. Now, Gerald and Maria spent a lot of time together on the Ark, as Robotnik literally made it his life's work to cure her. But what I failed to mention earlier is, NIDS is an incurable disease. Despite the medication and constant treatment, Maria's condition grew worse and worse. But it wasn't all bad though. Her time spent on the Ark led her to spend more time with her grandfather and the other family on board the Space Colony Ark. Now, the other family on board the Space Colony Ark is actually the family of the future commander of GUN. His name literally is listed as Commander, so if you don't mind, for the rest of the video, I'm just going to call him as he is, Commander. Unfortunately, I couldn't really find a better name for him. Anyway, needless to say, these two families spent a lot of time together on the Ark. The young commander in particular was a good friend to Maria. Nevertheless, the thing that remained top priority on the Ark was making sure Maria became healthy. So like I said before, NIDS is, or at least was, an incurable disease. Despite this, Gerald tried incessantly to cure her, which ultimately led to Project Shadow. Initially, the government saw Project Shadow as a great tool to help develop weapons, or some kind of immortality formula. After the president came to this idea, he personally brought it to Gerald Robotnik, hoping that he too would see its purpose. However, Robotnik didn't want Project Shadow to be used to destroy. Again, all he really wanted was to cure Maria. Then he realized that he can incorporate his ideas to cure Maria into the president's big project. So needless to say, he agreed. All of the research, tests, and results were found and done on the Space Colony Ark, isolated from the rest of society, and for good reason. Project Shadow was really kept under wraps, and only a few select people knew about it. It was dangerous, and exposing it to all of the Earth could prove fatal, especially if the project was a failure. Project Shadow was supposed to be invisible, it was supposed to be intangible, and it was supposed to be like a shadow, hence its name. So a lot of people kind of thought this idea was kind of bad. And this idea, mind you, was from one of the greatest minds of that time in Gerald Robotnik. In other words, they doubted the smartest person in the room. Regardless of that, they all decided to work with him. Now, the project began with studying the power of the Chaos Emeralds, which eventually caused the creation of the Chaos Drives. Now, chances are you've probably seen these small drives used in Sonic Adventure 2 for either enhancing fighting ability or for raising Chao. But most importantly, they were used to create the ultimate life form. However, due to complications, Gerald needed a little extra help. Now, the project they were working on needed a bit of an extra push to finally get it off the ground, so Robotnik got a little help from the Black Arms race, more specifically, Black Doom. The Black Arms agreed to extend some help to Gerald's research, but with a condition attached. Black Doom said that in 50 years' time, the Chaos Emeralds must be delivered to him, to which Gerald agreed. Black Doom also went to pretty great lengths to help Gerald, even giving his own blood to aid the research. Oh, and if you're wondering why 50 years Black Doom needed the Chaos Emeralds, it's because of his Black Comet returning in 50 years, and also to basically just destroy everything. We'll get into more of that later, but eventually the project was at a point where a prototype was finally finished. On January 27th at 12:30 in the morning, the BioLizard was complete. Initially, it was seen as a great success. It was capable of doing everything the researchers had wanted. However, they began to see many problems within their own prototype. Most importantly, they couldn't control it. This once again led many of Gerald's partners to doubt him and the possibility of Project Shadow even being a success. Eventually, Gerald was betrayed. Someone leaked information to the government and GUN about the deal between Robotnik and the Black Arms, and of course the failed prototype which we know as BioLizard. After hearing this, the government was tempted to stop aiding Gerald in creating this being. Gerald caught wind of this and attempted to bribe them with a very powerful machine that eventually turned on him and everyone else in the Ark. I say all this to say, Professor Gerald Robotnik really doesn't have it easy. Going through shady deals, several failed experiments, and an abundance of destruction, all to save his daughter. Nevertheless, his research did not stop. A little while later, Gerald was finally able to establish a more perfect version of BioLizard. This creation was Shadow the Hedgehog. Learning from his mistakes, Gerald created Shadow with emotions similar to that of Maria, as he did not want him to be destructive. Gerald wanted Shadow to show compassion towards others and care for the world. Shadow was made to be immortal, self-sufficient, and extremely intelligent. Shadow grew close to everyone on the Ark, but of course, as you know, the one whom he spent the most time with was Maria. Shadow would spend a lot of time watching the Earth with her and also questioning his true purpose. Overall, things were peaceful for a time, until GUN caught wind of Shadow's capabilities. GUN began to fear how powerful of a weapon Shadow could be, and if used against them, they may not be able to beat him. And let's be honest, Gerald had a pretty good reason to attack GUN and the government. Seeing as though they were unwilling to help him and find a cure for Maria, if he wanted to, he could have Shadow wreak havoc. Fortunately for them, Gerald wasn't that kind of guy, at least at the time. Nevertheless, the military wanted nothing more than to strip the ultimate life form from him and make him theirs. Gerald, however, had suspicions that the world might take action against him sooner or later, so he prepared a video for Shadow to watch in the future. Robotnik simply told Shadow that his new purpose was to destroy the Black Arms with the Eclipse Cannon in 50 years' time. In that video, Maria is in the recording promising that she too will assist Shadow in his efforts. To be more clear, Professor Gerald Robotnik never really had any intentions of giving the Black Arms all 7 Chaos Emeralds from the beginning. He kinda just wanted to use them, but not really work with them. Not too long after this video was recorded, GUN put their plan into full effect. This plan was called Ark Seal Destruction Operation. This plan began with them creating some sort of fake narrative that a biohazard had happened on the Ark and everyone needed to be evacuated from it. But in all actuality, all they wanted to do was shut down the Ark and kill everyone and everything inside of it that had something to do with Project Shadow, except for Professor Gerald Robotnik. They planned on making sure Gerald was detained in a high security prison and pinning the cause of the biohazard on him. GUN, or GUN if you will, went forward with the plan, making sure to kill everyone they possibly could involved with the project, including the entire family of the commander, whom I mentioned earlier. While this chaos ensued, Gerald put the final touches on the ultimate life form and had him escape with Maria. The two of them got to the escape pods, but just before they could make their getaway, Maria was shot, and with the last of her strength, she was able to eject Shadow to Earth in the pod. Not too long after, everyone who previously lived on the Ark was sent back to Earth. All of the research done on the Ark was frozen, and to cover up the many deaths on the Ark, GUN claimed that there were many victims to the biohazard that Gerald released, which, as we know, did not happen. Anyway, BioLizard was sealed away in the Ark in hopes of never being released again. Gerald, however, was sent to Prison Island, and he was only allowed to continue his research under the strict, watchful eyes of the government. He would later find out that Maria was killed on the Ark, which led him to create a secret plan for the space colony that he had once been on to fall and destroy the Earth. He also managed to brainwash Shadow, who was also in the possession of the government, to enact his plan. Eventually, Gerald was put to death, and the military completely sealed the island off, with Shadow inside it for 50 years. As for the commander, he held a 50-year grudge against Shadow, which would explain why he is public enemy number 1 in the game Shadow the Hedgehog. But all in all, that is the story of Shadow and Maria. What's going on, guys? Thank you all so much for sticking around to the end of the video. Now, to be honest, this was a pretty big topic for me to cover. Piecing all the information together from both Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic Adventure 2 was kinda hard to do, especially trying to make sure all the little details line up. I say all that to say I may have missed something. So as always, let me know in the comment section down below not only your thoughts, but any information you think needs to be included. And also another thing too is, a lot of this video was actually about Gerald Robotnik and not really Shadow and Maria, but I really think that Gerald is the key aspect between both of these two characters. Without Gerald, we wouldn't have Maria, and without Gerald, we also wouldn't have Shadow. And to see as though that Gerald basically created both of these beings, I think it's really essential to talk about his importance in the story between Shadow and Maria. In essence, what I'm trying to say is, the story of Shadow and Maria is ultimately the story of Gerald. But anyway, who would you like to see next? Is there another character or game that you believe deserves an in-depth look at, or maybe a character who you don't quite understand? Let me know if there's anybody else you'd like me to talk about in a future video in the comment section down below. One last thing before I go here is, I want to take a time to shout out some of my amazing channel members. Thank you guys so much for your endless support. I really appreciate you guys helping me out financially to make the best possible content I can make. I love making videos for you guys, and honestly, you have these incredible, amazing people to thank for it, because they really help make this all possible. If you want to become a member of my channel, there will be more information in the link in the description down below. But of course, there are other ways of supporting me, like leaving a like, comment, and of course remembering to subscribe definitely goes a really long way. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. This is SONICSTA signing out. Have a super blessed day, y'all.
Why are you playing that trash?